Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at Etrailer. Today we have the CURT 2-bike platform rack. We're going to be taking a look at how it fits here on our 2024 Dodge Durango. If you're looking for a bike rack that has a tilt-away feature while staying pretty affordable, this is probably one that you are looking at. So we'll take a look at some of those features. To tilt your bike rack away, that's usually a feature you'll want if you want access into your back hatch. Now, it's a little bit of a hassle to get this one to tilt down, but I do have a special trick for it. You have to kind of lift the weight off of the pin in order to remove it. This rack has a weight capacity of 45 pounds per bike, so that can add up very quick. So I recommend, if possible, get between your vehicle and your rack, and that way you can lift up with one hand as you maneuver this pin with the other hand. This has a clip over here. We're going to remove that clip, and then that way we can pull this pin out. And then I have a safety pin and clip down here. So I'm also going to lift up on the rack as I pull that clip and pull this other pin out. And now you can lower this rack. Now this has a very lightweight road bike and just one at that point, so you can just imagine how, if that was fully loaded up, that would be a lot of weight going down. But now you can open up your hatch door, clearing your pedals and your handlebars. You're now able to reach in here, grab your helmets, your waters, your backpacks. If you're the type of person that likes to switch out your shoes in your hatch, this is something that you can do as well without having to take the bikes off. So yes, there was a little bit of a process to that tilt away, but still it is an option available for you, something that other affordable bike racks may not have. You do have to lift your bike rack back up in order to secure the pins and the clip again. And if you can do it with one hand so that you can do it with the other one, that would be great. And another tip to that is just coming over to this side makes it a little bit easier. Now, how does it hold on to your bikes? Well, you have these adjustable wheel cradles, and this can go back and forth for your different wheelbases. Pretty popular for your extra long wheelbases because of that far spread. This is a frame-mounted rack, meaning this secures your bike by the frame. If you have a step-through frame or a frame that you don't want to be frame-mounted, you may want to consider getting a separate adapter bar that would just go across there. Now, the reason why people would prefer a frame-mounted rack, though, is because you can lock them. This comes with 2 keys for your 2 lock cords. You just turn that to the lock, and we're unable to press in that button. Turning this over to unlock, we're then able to press this button, and it is a little tight here. There we go. But this allows us to release tension on our bike. This has 2 hooks, and compared to some other racks where you can completely remove the hook, this one has a stopper up top. So in order to get a little bit more access to more easily remove your bike, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this pin in the center of the mast, and then that will tilt the mast down out of the way, and that way it's only a slight lift to get the bike off. So rather than having to go up and over a tall mast like some other frame mount styles make you do, this is a tad bit easier, but a little awkward when you have 2 bikes loaded up. Having the arm down is usually a setup for when you want to fold your bike rack up to be more compact, meaning it takes a little bit too much space and you're just driving around town, or you have a small parking spot or garage. So we have it back up to get those baseline measurements first. If you measure from the bumper of your Durango to the end of the bike rack, this is at 34 inches of length. Pretty normal for a 2-bike rack. This also will not include the length that your pedals as well as your handlebars are going to add to the back of your vehicle. Another measurement a lot of people look at is ground clearance. Now, I'm not quite concerned about this bottoming out on the ground because the Durango's hitch sits so high up. But for an example, we'll measure from the ground to our wheel hoops here, and that's 29 inches off the ground. What that actually means is that you are lifting about 2 feet up into the air to get your bike onto this rack. So since this has a 45-pound weight capacity maximum per bike, that is something to be mindful of with your slightly heavier bikes. Bringing the mast back down, we're going to secure it this time with our pin and our clip. And then we're going to go over to the mast or the base, and we're going to remove this large pin and large clip. That way we can fold the bike rack up and then secure it again with that pin and clip that we just removed. Now, lining up the pin with all the different holes has always been a little bit of struggle with this rack since there is so much movement with the different parts. So just work at it until it goes through. It is designed to fit. And this is going to be your more compact position. So remember how we measured earlier for the length is at the back of the vehicle? Well, if we measure from the same spot again to the end of the rack, it is now 20 inches. So big difference compared to earlier. This is how you're going to have it when you're just driving around town. And this is what it's going to look like behind your vehicle. So pretty good visibility here, full visibility through the window, visible lights. Your license plate and your backup camera are kind of covered, but since this takes up so much little space, you should be able to still be able to see if there's any people or cars directly behind you. With that being said, this is just the second option of your 2 options for keeping it more compact. I usually prefer this option because it does take up less space. It did take a lot of work to get it into here, but that's how this looks. Now, you are going to have a fair amount of side-to-side movement though, and that's just because this bike rack has an 1.25 inch shank with an included 2-inch adapter. That way this can fit into different types of hitches. The Durango tends to come with a 2-inch hitch though, so you can see how that adapter comes into play. Now you do get an anti-rattle bolt included with this rack, and you're going to use a 3/4 inch wrench to tighten that bolt down. And that significantly reduces the side-to-side movement. But because of the presence of this adapter, there may be a little bit of up and down movement still as you drive around. So for that reason alone, I would say that this might not be the bestest use of your Dodge Durango's 2-inch hitch receiver. Your Durango has a lot of power, a lot of weight capacity, so I would recommend getting something that has a 2-inch shank, and then you can just fully utilize that hitch receiver. So an alternative that I would suggest is the bent-in shifts and grins. Now that is going to be a little bit pricier, and it's going to be a fair bit heavier than our CURT platform rack, but you're going to have a high weight capacity, you're going to have a 2-inch shank that fits great into the 2-inch hitch receiver, and you're going to have a much easier tilt away process with just a press of the lever rather than having to remove 2 pins. But again, that is going to be a pricier rack and a heavier rack. So if you are looking for something that's much more lightweight, a fair bit more affordable, and just has a locking frame mount compared to using a cable lock, well, that's where the CURT 2 platform rack tends to be popular for people just getting into bike riding and transporting their bikes. So hopefully this video just helped explain how it works and how it looks on the Durango. You can check out our pictures and our reviews if you want more information, but you just saw it right here at etrailer.com.